Alright guys, just want to do a little introduction for the video. We have a how-to guide on how to set up your iCon Pro Audio V1M control surface. So there's going to be a couple of other extra things at the end of the video where we kind of go into some of the control features and what works, what doesn't work. We will have a follow-up video, perhaps even a second or third part video where we go extensively into all of the features of the control surface. We're going to test everything, at least in Studio One, to make sure that it's functioning. We'll reach out to Studio One and get a support email going if things are not functioning, kind of see what we can do in regards to that. So just as a heads up, there are a few things that I do not do or explain in this video, and I just want to go ahead and disclaimer that there will be a follow-up video for those instructions on how to set up keyboard commands and things of that nature. But for now, let's get into the video on how to set up your V1M with Studio One. This is Sounds Like Tech, and today we're going to be doing a how-to guide to connect a iCon Pro Audio V Series. Today we are going to be focusing on just the V1M control surface, and I'm going to show how to connect this with Studio One. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and initiate a screen grab so you guys can see what I'm doing on the MacBook here. So first thing you guys are going to want to do is open up iMap, which is iCon software to essentially let you program these V series controllers. This software will work with all of their control surfaces, the P series as well. So this is an improvement from their previous series. But with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. What you'll want to do first is select the unit that you're using. So in this case, we have a V1M unit here, and we're going to go ahead and turn this on now. So as you can see here in iMap, I've already detailed the DAWs that I want to use for each slot here. So in slot 1, I've got Studio One, primary focus of this video. We also have Logic Pro and Luna. The way you change those is you click here, and it has a drop-down menu. There's like 16 or 18 of these to choose from. So you also have the ability to MIDI map that should you choose to do so. So yeah, it's simple as that. You will get this controller out of the box configured to bitwig, so when you turn it on initially, it's going to read bitwig and then probably look exactly as this does. We're going to go ahead and swap that back. So for our use case, we want to use Studio One number 8, and then immediately the first thing you are going to want to do is save the file. Or you could perhaps even save it as the default if this is just going to be your main workflow and your base of operation. These 3 DAWs in this case, for me, I have saved as a default, so that's what we'll do here. You can save it as a file. I'll show you how that looks really fast. So you save your settings here as a file. Let's see if I could pull that in. There we go. Now you can see that. So essentially what this will allow you to do is save all the program settings that you have for the board, pages, everything for the touch, the quote-unquote Stream Deck. So yeah, all the configurations of the control surface are going to be included into the file that you save here. Name that file whatever you'd like, save it in a folder of your choosing, and you're off to the races, in the words of Barry Johns. So let's go ahead and get this thing connected to Studio One. That's what everyone would like to see. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Studio One over here. And we're going to have to make this window pretty small now, I'm realizing. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think actually for all extensive purposes, the iMap portion of this is, we're done with this portion. While we're here though, I'll very quickly show you the other tabs on this. You have the tabs for the touch panel. Just scroll down, you can program that as you choose. You've got some presets here in terms of functionality that you can essentially just drag and drop. And if you want to reorder things, you can drag and drop. See how that works? Just very simple, very simple. Yeah, so save your files, people. The last 2 tabs over here are going to be for keystrokes, which is beautifully implemented. The same way that if you're familiar with the UF8 from SSL, the same way it works the same. And then we're going to hop over to the MIDI tab. If you'd like to program this to just control MIDI functions, maybe you have a synthesizer you want to, do some things with like that and get connected, you can use that in that way as well. So back to Studio One, we're going to open this up on this recorded screen for you guys so everyone can see. And what we're going to do is essentially select your audio interface. In my case, I have a Universal Audio Apollo. And yeah, that's what you're hearing my voice through now. So we're going to open up a session. And we will call this the iCon V-Series HT for How To. All right, got everything, looks good to me. And boom, it's already connected just from the IMAP to Studio One. But let's just assume that didn't happen for everyone. What you're going to want to do is hit Preferences. The shortcut for that is Command, comma. Go to your external devices. We're going to drag this window over here for you guys. All right, so go to your external devices, and you're going to want to set up, you want to add a Mackie control device. Then you'll want to go to the port V1M port 1. Boom. All right. You see it's already in use because I actually already have this connected here. But that's exactly how you're going to want to set it up. And for the SYN, same port. Port 1, port 1. All right. That's going to get you talking to Studio One. All right. So now I'm going to delete that because I don't need it. We already have this in use here. In use here. And so now we're going to look at functionality on this and see what's working, what isn't working. And yeah, I'm actually going to drop some tracks in and we'll see how this looks. It's a 12-track mix. So we will have the, you'll be able to see how everything looks if it banks. All right, and this is from Michael Humphreys. This is a song called Radius. All right, let me drag these tracks to Studio One. And there's a more eloquent way to do this, which I can show in another demo later. But there's plenty of Studio One demos out there that show how you can drop all your files into the start page from Studio 1.6, or 6.0 rather. So yeah, what you see here is a 12-track mix. Now this is implemented on the controller. So what we're going to do is hit DAW 1, and we're going to make sure that this is recognizing, because as you see, we don't see any of the track names on the top here. So that is an issue. What we do see is channel 1 through 8 here in the second screen. You could probably see it over here more so, than over here. But let's figure out why this isn't showing up here. I have a feeling that it's just due to the fact that all these tracks are dropped in, and it's going to need to see this in as a new track added, but there also is a potential that this is placement wise as a second fader bank. So let me check, because I do have a UF8 here and I have another iCon V1X on the other side of this. So technically this would be channels 17 through 24. So let's go back to our preferences and make sure that we have this set up correctly in terms of the placement. So what you want to do is click placement here. And all right, looks like the window popped up on my other screen. Let me drag it in, and there is the issue right there. So what we're going to do is a new group where we pull actually let's just drop the X and the UF8 out of the group, and boom, ba, bing, your tracks are there. So that is it. That's pretty much all you'll need to do. Check your placement. If you don't have any other controllers set up in serial, essentially, this shouldn't be an issue, and all the track names should appear once you get the connections from port 1, send, and return, selected on the external devices menu. So we're going to go and close this out, jump into this mix, and just look at a little bit of the functionality in terms of the touchscreen here. Might even do the DAW swap. Let's see what happens here. Let's just do that real fast. Oh, cool. Look at that. Swaps it over to Logic. So this works basically the same as it would on the UF8. Very handy. And we're going to go pages. All right. So yeah, 5 pages of commands you have there. And let's pull up our mixer. So the one thing that I'm sure somebody is already saying in their head is, where are the colors? And yeah, that's a great question. I don't believe Presonus has this working with colors. So we're working. I have opened up an email with them, an email chain with them. So hopefully we can get that worked out. Working back and forth here to figure out either how to program this myself with their aid, or either have them add that into the next firmware update for 6.5, because it certainly works on my UF8 here. So I'd love to have all these tracks colorized and matching to the controller. That would just be fantastic for the workflow and not looking at the screen. I kind of can, I know if you colorize your buses or colorize your tracks always the same, then that's a very important niche of the workflow. So yeah, without any further ado, you've got here your jog wheel. So you can see that is working just fine. We're gonna actually zoom that out some, but let's not use the mouse anymore because it's a control surface, and let's do all of this by hand. Let's see, zoom, so that truncates it to make my channel smaller. I'm controlling all of this with the wheel here, the jog wheel, and that's with zoom up and down activated. Left and right, I assume, will make these. Okay, makes it just an up and down cursor. And then if I disable that, goes back into my timeline. On the left hand side under move, you have left and right, which cursors again. So essentially left and right for move and zoom are effectively the same. Yeah, so when you enable zoom on the right hand side, right and left, that is a cursor mixer page, and same for this. So yeah, some dual functionality. Yeah, it looks like the same for this. So in terms of the zoom, I'm sure you can do this here. Let me figure this out real quick. Then, so what if we do that? So I was trying to see if you can enable 2 of these at the same time. Doesn't seem like you can, so I'm gonna hit the shuffle button, and that does exactly as the same as the UF8. Shuffles you down. Looks like I would assume banks of 8, but this is a 12 track mix, so it's going from track 7 to track 12, it looks like. Alright, the master assign, when illuminated, is just a jog wheel function. When unilluminated is just a jog wheel function. So I imagine this could have something to do with that. As I'm now panning on the selected channel 7 here, you can see in that screen grab. So let's kill that. I like the, of course. Very interesting. Alright. Alright, cool. So pans seem to work while we're here. It doesn't jump though, so jump to fader isn't a thing in terms of the interface of Studio One to the V1M here. So something to note, if that's a workflow of yours, we'll have to add that feature request. Drop a comment in below and we'll see what we can do from there. So yeah, and overall, it looks like everything seems to be functioning. We'll do a further in-depth video in terms of all of these buttons here. But yeah, off the rip here, play, stop. Looks like loop it. Yep. All of this seems to be working. Scrub. Actually, that's not a feature in Studio One, but your automation, turn all that off and select the channel. So yeah, everything seems to work. Bang down. And then there you go. So what you're hearing now is the mix coming out of my return feed on the underneath my desk here, out of my patch bay. That's how I check all my analog audio signals. So yeah, as you can enjoy this little bit of the mix, we'll go ahead and let this be the end of the video. Any other questions? This is an issue as well, for the record. The master fader doesn't work, the LEDs, in terms of that. So we do have a time code functioning here in terms of beats per minute. You can also do SMTPE. So yeah. Yep. We're going to pretty much call that a wrap. So guys, if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. And yeah, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. This is Sounds Like Tech.